So where do you go when the fire is low? You're feeling unnerving when you're feeling no burning.
What's up, everybody? Noah Kaser back here for another episode of Noah Kaser Live. Let's get right into it. We got a lot to talk about, and we're going to start off with this. So, unfortunately, yesterday afternoon, well, actually, yesterday morning, the news dropped that Maggie Smith passed away at age 89. Now, of course, we all know her from multiple roles. Her biggest ones, not only being as Professor McGonagall in Downton Abbey in Sister Act, but also Hook. She also had a ton of Academy Award nominations, a couple wins. I believe it's 9 Primetime Emmy nominations and 4 wins for that one. So Maggie Smith sadly passed away at the age of 89 years old. How are you going to remember her? Are you going to remember her as Professor McGonagall? Are you going to remember her from Sister Act, from Downton Abbey? I will personally remember her from my favorite role of hers as Wendy in Hook. Wendy in Hook is my personal favorite one of hers because it probably was my first exposure to her. As long as I can remember, Hook is one of those movies that just is a comfort for me. Bangarang, Wendy grows up. Peter Banning and Robin Williams eventually grew up after he left Neverland, and you're just seeing that. This is a phenomenal film. I really love this film. But we're not going to forget about her other roles, of course, as Professor McGonagall. She will always be linked to this one. I think, first and foremost, she will be linked to this one. Now, for me, she is one of the very first people you see in the Harry Potter movies. She's literally, I believe she might be the first character, the very first character who was on screen for this whole entire series. I could be wrong, but besides that, you also had her in Sister Act. In Sister Act, she was a phenomenal part of this. She was a phenomenal part of this. She had a charm, charisma, humor, music. She was phenomenal in that movie. I loved Maggie Smith. It's sad she passed away, but this should not be a sad moment. It's sad for us as fans because we'll never get to see her on screen again, but look at what she's left behind. She left us Professor McGonagall, Wendy, and in Sister Act, in Downton Abbey, all of her other roles, and on stage, screen, TV, what have you. Maggie Smith has passed away at 89 years old, and this show is in memory of her, and I might have to watch Hook very soon. It's getting towards the fall season. It's getting time for a Harry Potter marathon, potentially. I'm not quite sure, but Maggie Smith has passed away at age 89 years old. So, we're going to move into this next. Next up is this. Chucky has been canceled after 3 seasons. So, this is not major news. And do you want to know why it's not major news? Because if you take a look at these ratings, they are awful. If you take a look at something that's airing on the USA Network, that should have this should have major numbers, right? But with Chucky, let's take a look at this. We're going to take a look at what it says below here. Well, maybe, because it is not working. And I love when it doesn't work. These ratings are awful. Wednesday, it started at 0.05. The demo change, 64%. 64%. It went up 20%, but look at this. They never got past 0.08. If you take a look at that from the season averages minus 53%. It's no wonder it got canceled. This was a pretty piss poor show when it came to ratings. These ratings were nothing. It was costing them more to make this show than it was for them to actually air it. It was costing them more to make it. And that's saying something. I'm sorry, Chucky is not that big of a franchise anymore. Chucky has fans. He does have fans. But the issue is the fans just aren't going to speak to what it actually is anymore. I'm sorry. The fans are not going to stick with it. And if they do, they do. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say. This is not a popular franchise anymore. Chucky is not all that big. Chucky was big in the late 80s, early 90s. Besides that, he's known as a 90s character. Bringing him to now, the 2019 movie was fine. It was nothing special. It was nothing to write home about. But that's not saying anything either. Because Chucky was getting bad ratings. The show was getting awful ratings. And with awful ratings, what do you expect? It doesn't matter how good a show is. That show could be one of the most highly revered shows ever. It could get multiple Emmy nominations, and it got no Emmy nominations, which is not that big of a surprise. So let's take a look at this a little bit further about what's going on with the Chucky series. We do have a movie in the works. We know we have a movie in the works. The Chucky season 3 ratings, let's take a look at this. Season 2 of Chucky on Sci-Fi averaged 0.08 rating in the 18 to 49 demo, which is a very integral demo. Season 2 on USA Network averaged 0.10 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. That they barely got over not even over 500,000 viewers. That is awful. That is awful ratings for a TV show. Because it's sad when a rerun of The Big Bang Theory is doing better than your new episode of Chucky. That is awful. It's piss poor numbers. I'm sad it got canned for the fans, but guess what? It got canned for a reason. The fans weren't showing up for the show anymore, no matter how good it was. That's just the overall numbers. I mean, look at what happened with The Flash. The Flash, those numbers for the CW were really, really, really good. However, when you take a look at something that runs on the USA Network like Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown doing over 1.7 million viewers, that is sad when a wrestling show can do more than a horror icon show. That's really sad. I'm sad it got canned for you fans, but besides that, it's no surprise that Chucky 3 got canceled. We do have a movie coming out very, very soon, probably 2026, 2027 at some point, if they can get the ball rolling. If Don Mancini is smart, he can get this ball rolling on it. He can do a nice integration into the actual series. He can do integration from the series into the movies and connect it all. That's what I would do. But besides that, what do you think about it? Are you sad that Chucky got canceled by USA Network and Sci-Fi? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below and let me know your thoughts. Next up, we're going to go into this. This is going to be a bit of a long-winded topic, so let's go right into it. Hugh Jackman Oscar nomination for Deadpool and Wolverine. So, this is being talked about now because Hugh Jackman is getting a lot of praise for his role as Logan in Deadpool and Wolverine, as he should. He's a phenomenal actor, but is it Oscar nomination worthy? Let's get into this because we're going to take a look at what he did the only time he got nominated at the Academy Awards for an acting nomination. The only time he got nominated for an Oscar was for Les Miserables, which got 8 nominations and won for 3. It won for 3. It won 3 out of its 8 nominations. Not too shabby. Unfortunately, Hugh Jackman was not one of them, but let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at his big nominations as a whole, because he does have a few of them. These being Les Miserables, he got nominated for an Academy Award. For Les Miserables, a Golden Globe, a Screen Actors Guild, and the BAFTAs. He won the Golden Globe for Les Miserables. He was nominated for a Golden Globe for Kate and Leopold, The Greatest Showman, and The Son. So, taking a look at those, do you really think that he is going to get an Oscar nomination for something like Deadpool and Wolverine over something like The Greatest Showman? Les Miserables, other stuff. I hate to tell you this, I really, really do. No, he doesn't have a chance. He really does not have a chance for Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards. But that's not saying it's zero. That's not saying it is a zero chance. Because if you take a look at what has been happening, we have had some former winners and potential nominees and easily nominees be nominated for Academy Awards in comic book franchises. But if you take a look at what's been happening with the awards talk, Hugh Jackman is not in the awards conversation. What we did last time is we talked about The Sun. The Sun is easily one of the most disappointing films ever put out for the Oscar ceremonies, as I have been told. But for me, my favorite role is easily The Greatest Showman right here. But his greatest role, Jean Valjean. Jean Valjean is his greatest role ever because he delivered power. He delivered everything to that role, and he needed to. If he didn't command the screen just like everybody else commanded the screen, that means nothing. It literally means nothing, and it builds to nothing. So, Variety has said this. Variety is showing us their nominations, their predictions for the Best Supporting Actor nominations at the Academy Awards. I personally have some, so let's get into it. They are predicting Denzel Washington in Gladiator 2, Stanley Tucci in Conclave, which I think is a very good possibility, with Kieran Culkin. Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain, and John Turturro in The Room Next Door, and Clarence Macklin in Sing Sing. But I have a few as well. So I am using the Award Expert app. So if you are interested in that, check that out. My predictions, once they come up for Best Supporting Actor right now, I have Clarence Macklin. Oh, let me pull this up. So I have Clarence Macklin at number 1 for Sing Sing, and Guy Pearce at 2 for The Brutalist. I also have, wow, me and Variety are tied. Kieran Culkin at number 3, Stanley Tucci at number 4, and Denzel Washington at number 5. So the only one that we have different is John Turturro in The Room Next Door. We will have to see how The Brutalist does, because apparently it is coming out in 2024. We'll just have to see. If it doesn't come out in 2024, it's not going to be up for the Oscars unless you enter it in a limited run in so many theaters with so many showings. I think it's in Los Angeles, New York, and maybe 2 or 3 other cities. That's where you're going to get it. But I think this is big. I think it's great. However, Deadpool Wolverine is not getting any Oscar nominations whatsoever unless it's for like maybe a visual effects category, maybe a costume, tops, but easily. If they get anything in any acting stuff, it's going to be in the Fan Voted Awards, like in the People's Choice, in the MTV Movie Awards, the Kids' Choice Awards, or maybe even in the Golden Globes. The Golden Globes are your easiest bet because they want as many stars as possible, and they separate the leading comedy actor and the drama actor, but they don't do it for the supporting, which is very smart, because if you did that, the show would run overly long, like it always does anyways. But what do you think? Do you think that Hugh Jackman is going to get an Oscar nomination for playing Logan in Deadpool Wolverine? I personally don't think so. I think it's a nice pipe dream. I think it's nice to think that. However, it's not likely. These are his past nominations. Academy Award for Les Miserables. He won the Golden Globe for Les Miserables, the SAG and BAFTA nomination, the Golden Globe for Caitlin Leopold, The Greatest Showman, and The Sun. But besides that, I really don't think he has a shot at Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards next to those juggernauts. He's not playing a role that calls for an Oscar nomination. He's really damn good in the film. But besides that, there's nothing really else to talk about here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think that he deserves a Oscar nomination? Who would you take out of those 5? Would you take out a John Turturro? Would you take out a Guy Pearce? Would you take out a Denzel Washington to put in Hugh Jackman for Deadpool and Wolverine? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know your thoughts. So, up next, we're going to talk about a brand new film. And that film is the brand new film on Paramount Plus that premiered at Fantastic Fest first. And that is going to be for the film Apartment 7A. So for Apartment 7A, I had very little interest in this film going in. So I knew that this was a Rosemary's Baby type. It's a Rosemary's Baby prequel. So we're gonna take a look at this. We're gonna talk about Apartment 7A. So Apartment 7A is the brand new film on Paramount Plus that premiered at Fantastic Fest first. So, a struggling young dancer finds herself drawn by dark forces when a peculiar, well-connected older couple promise her a shot at fame. This one stars Julia Gardner, and she is great, as is Diane West. Diane West and Chris McNally. It's not Chris McNally, it's Kevin McNally. Chris McNally, completely different actor, completely different role for him if he was in here. I'm telling you that right now. But I thought this was solid. I mean, it was nothing great. It had moments of tension here and there, but nothing about this film made it particularly memorable. It's not half bad. Having not seen the original film in Rosemary's Baby, I enjoyed this more than I thought I would. It has some creepy imagery and a great performance, particularly from our lead actress, in Gardner. And this was a pleasant surprise. However, that doesn't mean it's all good. The screenwriter definitely does not give any attention to any of our side characters besides our old couple. So they feel so empty and they just serve the narrative. However, that's what they're there to do, is serve the narrative. But if you don't write them well, then they don't serve the narrative all that well either. 7A, Apartment 7A is just a solid little horror film on Paramount Plus that's going to be forgotten about by the end of the month. I guarantee you. Well, by the end of next month. If you're a fan of Rosemary's Baby, I've heard that this is exactly the same story. They've changed very few things. That's unfortunately because as a fan of horror films, I like horror. It's not my favorite genre, but Apartment 7A is definitely one where I think you could enjoy it. But if you've seen the original film, it's probably going to really tick you off because apparently it does nothing new. Again, with the horror genre, it's hard to do anything new. But with a movie like this, I think what really needs to happen here is you need to have a really good script, and you need to build up our side characters. Not only that they're just creepy old people or creepy neighbors. You need to build this as, hey, everyone is out to get her. Everyone is in on this. And you don't do that in a way that is all that intriguing. The performances are very good. There's some good and well-executed scares. Really good scares here and there. Good costume design. I like the cinematography. The score was very well done and creepy. But besides that, the script is the issue here. You don't write your characters, any of your side characters, to be remotely interesting in the least. But what do you think about Apartment 7A? Are you excited to see this? I thought it was solid for what it was, and I'm going to give Apartment 7A 2.5 out of 5 stars. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I did say that I would review it, so there's my review of Apartment 7A. Are you excited about it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know your thoughts. We're going to go into this up next. So, next up, we are going to go into our regular topics, and our regular topics are going to be this. We're going to go into the regular end of the month part where we go into the October movie preview. So the October, we're going to do that one more time. We're going to go into the October movie preview. So the oh my God. We're going to do that one more time. The October movie preview. So the October movie preview. No, nobody's watching anyways. Who cares? The October movie preview. So the October. That's a tongue twister, folks. The October movie preview. So this October movie preview looks like this. We have a lot to discuss. we're going to go into this. We're going to take a look at what's coming out in October on VOD for the bigger films and some films that were in limited release. So we're going to start off with October 1st with this. Strange Darling comes to VOD along with Deadpool and Wolverine. Moving to October 3rd, we have Hold Your Breath, a brand new horror thriller on Hulu starring Sarah Paulson, and the brand new remake of Salem's Lot on Max on October 3rd. October 4th is a big week with Joker Folie de The Outrun in theaters, and on streaming we have The Platform 2 on Netflix and VHS Beyond on Shudder and on AMC+. October 11th, we have this. October 11th, we have Terrifier 3, Saturday night, going to theaters, and on streaming on Max, we have Tuesday, an A24 film starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Mr. Crockett on Hulu. On the 18th, we have Smile 2, Flight Risk, Woman of the Hour, and Honora. Now, Honora is going to limited theaters. Flight Risk is going to some theaters, but I haven't seen any marketing for that film at all. I've seen nothing for Flight Risk. It wouldn't surprise me if that film came to VOD in 3 weeks. But Smile 2 might make a little bit of a splash at the box office. It's literally the only big horror movie coming out during the entire month in theaters. And on the 18th, also on Max, we have Maxine. Moving on to the final date, on October 25th, we have Venom, The Last Dance, a limited release for the Oscar favorite The Nickel Boys, and on Max we will have M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. So that is the October movie preview. We did that a little bit quicker, a little bit shorter than usual. I didn't want to go over everything. I didn't bring in any of the Blu-rays, any of the smaller streaming stuff. I just wanted to keep this nice and concise. And there is the October movie preview. What are you excited for in October? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know your thoughts. Next up, we're going to go into our regularly scheduled topics, and that is going to be Ticket Tracker. So Ticket Tracker looks like this. Not much has changed at the box office, so we're just going to look at the updated box office numbers. They look like this. So Beetlejuice has now earned $342 million at the worldwide box office. Transformers 1 has now earned $46.1 million at the box office, which is pretty good. I mean, that's pretty darn good for what that movie has been doing, but that's not saying that it's making bank. It's definitely not making bank. It's not going to turn a profit, I don't think. It's not that profitable, and unfortunately, it's just a movie where I don't think anybody had any interest in it because of the piss-poor first trailers. Speak No Evil and now is at $46.2 million. Never Let Go is at $6.1, and Deadpool and Wolverine is now at $1.3 billion. $1,319 million. I had a brain fart there. But that is that. So that is Ticket Tracker. And next up, we're going to go into our final topics. But first, we're going to take a look at this. Let's take a look at what's coming out next week. So next weekend, you might as well say this week. This weekend in theaters, we have The Wild Robot and Megalopolis. So if you take a look at this number right here, The Wild Robot has now made $11.3 million in its first day of release. $17.8 million worldwide. Guess how much Megalopolis has made? Worldwide, $1.8 million. This is a massive bomb. It's made $1.8 million. Not surprising. It is looking at a $3 to maybe $5 million. If we are lucky, $5 million opening. I would like for it to do better. It is one of the greatest filmmakers on the face of the planet with some of the greatest movies ever, but unfortunately, it's not looking good for him. So there is Ticket Tracker. Are you excited about what's coming out this week in theaters? Are you going to go and see The Wild Robot like I am this weekend? Are you going to go and see Megalopolis? I won't be because my theater and my town is not playing it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below and let me know your thoughts. So next up, we're going to go into the Netflix Top 10. The Netflix Top 10 looks like this. The Netflix top 10 starts off with number 1 being again, it is Garfield, the Garfield movie. Then we have Love on the Run, Jailbreak, Love on the Run at number 2. Will and Harper at number 3. Number 4 is Rebel Ridge. Number 5 is Uglies. Number 6, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Number 7, Trolls. Number 8, The Boss Baby. Number 9, Trolls Band Together. And number 10, in Minions. We're going to go into the TV shows up next. What's in the top 10 for the TV shows? Well, we're going to take a look at that. Number 1 is a show that I will be watching very, very soon. Nobody Wants This, a new romantic comedy show on Netflix at number 1. Number 2, Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. The Great British Baking Show at number 3. Mr. McMahon at number 4. Number 5 is The Perfect Couple. Number 6, Ellen DeGeneres, For Your Approval. Number 7, Emily in Paris. Number 8, Penelope. Number 9, The Circle. And number 10, I'm not even going to... Yeon Song Creature. It's a foreign language fantasy show, I believe. But there's that. There is the Netflix top 10. And as always, we have to take a look at the quick thing of what's coming out this weekend in theaters and on streaming. And as always, this is coming to us from the from releases.com. So what's releasing this week in theaters and on streaming? Let's get right into that right now. We are going to go in here, and it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's a pretty light week. So as we've already talked about, we have Megalopolis and The Wild Robot. I've already reviewed Apartment 7A, and we have Wolves on Apple TV+, which I will be finishing once I'm done with this stream. This week, we also had on Prime Video Killer Heat, which I will also be watching this weekend and giving you guys my review of that on Tuesday's show. I'll have my review of Lee on Tuesday as well. Besides that, there is not much coming out, but next week is a bit of a bigger week. If you are a Lifetime fan, you do have He Slid Into Her DMs. So if you're interested in that, that's great and all, isn't it? Anyways, on October 1st, we've already talked about it. Deadpool, Wolverine, and Strange Darling. But next week is the big one. We have Salem's Lot on Max, VHS Beyond on Shudder, and Joker Folie à Deux on October 4th. On the 3rd, we have Hold Your Breath and Salem's Lot. So I will have my reviews for all of those. And I also got some fun stuff coming up with the podcast. So stay tuned, because next time I'll have my review of the brand new Hallmark movie, The Real West, as well as my review of The Wild Robot and Wolves, along with Killer Heat. So until next time, everybody, like, subscribe if you're new. And as always, I will see all of you guys next time.
So where do you go when the fire is low?